Life is a journey, they say, and the best journeys are never traveled alone. Whether it's starting that financial journey and needing stability, or needing the right direction for sound investments, at ARM, we are there for you through every phase of your life, even making the transfer of your wealth and assets totally seamless. And when you're ready to explore life after work, ARM doesn't just show you the way, we are right there with you. And if you're looking for an investment that doesn't just change your life, but touches the lives of many, then join us in building the community of the future.
Come, let's face tomorrow together.
ARM, invested in your tomorrow.
Exactly. We are interested, invested in your tomorrow. Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to this pre-retirement webinar, which we have titled How Prepared Are You for Retirement? I believe it's a great day wherever you are. Maybe in the chat, you can drop your location. Let's know whether you're joining from Abeokuta, from Kano, from Ibadan, from Abuja, from anywhere you're joining from Lagos. Let's just know where you're joining from. And we say good afternoon to everyone. I can see from Yola. Wow, that is far away. We're saying good afternoon to you from myself here in Lagos. I can see Port Harcourt, Ibadan. From the USA, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining. I can see so many Lagos, Abuja. That is the seat of power. All right, very interesting. All right, you can keep dropping your chat. I can see Oweri. Would like to welcome you once again. It's going to be a wonderful time. We have organized this to ensure that we are able to handhold you and provide you with the necessary information that you need towards your journey to retirement, because we know that you have started this work and one day you are going to stop, and we definitely know that you will be alive at that time to be able to reap and enjoy the benefits of the fruit of your labor. So this is what this is all about, to tell you about what you need to know, how you need to prepare towards the time of your retirement. What do we have for you today? Of course, somebody will just welcome us briefly. We would also go into the technical session by having some of my colleagues here is going to tell us about a life after retirement, how you can make your money to work for you, because at that time you're not supposed to be working, but you can also make your money work for you. Having spent 30, 35 years of your life working your active life, towards that end, you should also be able to take the back seat and allow your money to work for you. So we'll be looking at options that we have with respect to that. How can you plan towards your retirement? What are the things you need to start putting together right now? At that time that you are retiree, what are the options available to you? We're going to get into those details and give you information necessary for you to make an informed decision. And you'll all agree with me that health is wealth. No matter how much money you have and there's no health to be able to spend it or to enjoy it, then it's just a waste of time and a waste of resources. So we're going to have an health practitioner who is going to also talk to us about how we can take care of our health. And most importantly, we like to take feedback from you in terms of questions. And so if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A panel that's showing on your Teams app, and we'll be able to answer them. Some of them will be able to answer them even as we go on, and some of them will take it during the question and answer session. So we just want you to sit back, relax, enjoy this ride as we go on. just to let you know about the team, I've not introduced myself. My name is Lanre Duruchu. I'm the one that's going to be moderating this session. I also have some of my colleagues here, Uchenna Ede, who's the regional head for Lagos. Olushola Adekunle is the CX, that's customer experience regional supervisor, as well as Charles Fakbomunda, who is one of our benefit administration team. I've also mentioned that the doctor is also going to join us for the health talk, which we're going to have sometime during this session. To get us started, I would invite our head of customer experience in the person of Lola Adekweju-Shongotade, who is going to give us an opening remarks. Lola.
Okay, so thank you very much, Larry, and good afternoon again, our esteemed customers. Thank you so much for making our time to join us today. I've seen on the chat that a good number of us are joining us from different parts of the country and even people from outside of the country. We really appreciate it and we don't take it for granted. On behalf of the management and staff at ARM, we say thank you and want to welcome you to this webinar. We have a whole lot of things we want to share with you today. We have seasoned professionals on the call who will be speaking to us about things we need to do and how to get ready for retirement. A lot of us have plans, a lot of us have dreams and aspirations as well. So we'll be taking you down, on a journey on the things you need to put together, the things you should start thinking about. Larry had also mentioned about a doctor who is also going to talk about our health. It's important that, as we begin to prepare for retirement as well, our health is important and it's important to pay attention to that space. So we have a whole lot to share with you today. Without wasting much time, I would hand over back to Larry and then we'll walk you through everything we have for you today. So thank you once again and please stay on the line. And please feel free to also drop your questions. We'll also take them as we go along. Thank you. Larry, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Lola, for that beautiful opening remarks. We'll just dive straight into it, and I'll invite the first technical presentation that we have for you today, and this will be delivered by my colleague Uchenna Ede, and he will be talking to us about what plans we need to make towards making our money to work for us, even from now, during retirement and afterwards. So Uchenna Ede, you can take it from here.
All right, thank you, Larry. I'm always excited when we have conversations around retirement. Some of the experiences we've had managing funds for retirees is the fact that upon retirement, some of the feedback that we get, has made us understand that we need to have this conversation as often as possible. What you get is when people come to apply for their benefit after their active life, you get feedback like, if I had gotten certain knowledge, I probably would have done things differently. For some people, they just feel that if you are not coming from a very wealthy family or from the no names that you probably have in Nigeria, you cannot achieve that set of that kind of retirement, of your dream. But from this other side, we think very differently. We think that when there is a proper structure as to a clear roadmap on what you want to see when you retire, what sort of retirement are you looking out for? When you have that clear roadmap, you'll be able to achieve that retirement of your dream. So that is why from time to time, we have this conversation as regards financial planning, retirement planning. We can use those terms interchangeably. So what is financial planning? Financial planning basically is trying to say that we know that your funds, your resources are limited. It's even worse at this time where even the little resources that you have, can barely do just very little for you. So it means that if there are no clear roadmap on what you want to do, with very dedicated and deliberate money management skills, it means that you will probably end up not even achieving those things you have set out for yourself. So clearly, financial planning is all about managing your limited resources, clearly identifying your goals, looking at what is very important, and then you just take them one at a time. And what you see after your work life is that you would have created, that retirement of your dream. So within the next 2 or 3 minutes, I'll just walk us through a simple process or a simple step of what we should do to ensure that at the end of our work life, we achieve that retirement of our dream. When it comes to financial planning, it's not something we can exhaust in this session. And a good thing is that for us at ARN, we are ready to work with you, handhold you, and create a robust financial plan for you. We have experts that can do all of these things for you. So I'll just take us through this, I think about 4 or 5 steps, on how to create a financial plan. The first thing you need to do is to identify your goals. So who am I? What do I want to achieve in life? When I retire, what do I want to see? Where do I want to be? What sort of things do I want to have? Oh, probably I'm in the financial sector today. I want to be a chartered accountant. I want to be a CFA charter, or I'm in the engineering sector. I want to have my professional certificate in engineering. Or today I'm still living in a rented apartment. I want to be there. So whatever your goal is, we think that the first thing to do is to clearly write that goal down. If that goal is not clearly written down, it is just a mere wish. So the first thing in your financial plan is to write your goals down. And then the next thing to do is to identify the time horizon for that goal. Is it a short-term goal, which is goals that you want to probably achieve within a 1-year period? Is it a medium-term goal? Probably you are looking at less than 5 years. For me, I think between 2 to 4 to 5 years, you probably will classify that as a medium term. Or you probably want to look at a longer term goal, maybe a 5 to 10 years to 15 years goal. I wish that, now I'm still living at a rented apartment. Within the next 5 to 10 years, I probably want to build my house. You want to take advantage of mortgage. You want to go into mortgage so that within the next 10 years, you probably have finished your. So you need to identify what is the time frame in which I want to achieve that particular goal. Now, in identifying the time horizon, you then need to look at the priority. What is more important? Building a house now or going to get my CFA charter, which is more important? For some people, they'll say, I just want to get my house. For some people, they'll say, I want to get my CFA charter. I know once I have that, I'll have a better job. It will be more easier for me to build my house. So you have to sit down and identify those goals based on their level of priority you want to give to them. Once that has been identified, the next thing you then do on the next slide, as we'll see it, is your ability to analyze your financial situation. You have come up with those beautiful ideas. You have come up with those wonderful goals you want to achieve. It is very important that you understand your financial situation. What is your cash flow like? Some people, on the day salaries are paid, their ATM is on their back pocket. That is the day they want to go to ShopRite. They want to go for 1 or 2 shoppings, take friends out. The I cannot kill myself group, those things are very important. In my own case, I have allowances for enjoyment. It's fine. But however, you need to understand your cash flow. What is cash flow? Cash flow simply means, where am I getting funds from and where am I spending it? Why is it important to understand your cash flow? Once you understand your cash flow, you then have control over it. You then know how much you are spending on DSTV, you know how much you are spending on enjoyment, you know how much you are spending on clothing, and then you tie these things into a budget so that you are not going outside what you have agreed to do. Because when you spend beyond what you have stated, it means that you are going to be imparting all the goals you have written down and the time frame you want to achieve those goals. You also need to understand your net worth. Why is net worth analysis important? It helps you to understand what sort of asset you have, what sort of liability you are owing, and then based on where you are you able to, if something happens today, if you sell your asset, are you able to pay off all your liability? You get my point. For a number of people, they will tell you, if you have an asset that is at least 50% higher than your liability, then you are in a very good position. If you then check your net worth analysis, and at that time you are on a net worth, you are in negative position, it then means that while those goals are good, you need to first of all come out from the negative region. So in doing that, you can't do that when you don't understand your position per time. So that is why it's important that you know your network position so that you don't go into thinking of achieving a certain goal when you are owing people. When if there's an emergency or something happens, what you have, even when you sell it, it cannot take care of all the people you are owing or clear up your debts. So it's important that you understand your net worth analysis. And then the next most important thing to do in a financial planning setting is your budget. What is budgeting? Budgeting is you identifying all your income and all your expenses within a time frame. So budgeting can be a 1 month budget, a 6 months budget, or a 1 year budget. It is dangerous to run your financial situation without a budget. Even Nigeria as a country has a budget. So if you don't have your monthly budget, your 6 months budget, your 1 year budget, it means that you are not, at this point, you probably will be classified as not being financially, I don't know the right word to use, but it simply means that you are not doing the right thing and you may end up not achieving that retirement of your dream. Now, once you have understood your financial situation, you then go to the next stage of implementing your plan. And in implementing those plans, I don't know what you probably would have written down or what you have running through your mind as the things you want to achieve. But there are certain things we think are important for you to pen down, to consider while you are thinking of setting up your plan. Number one is what we classify as protection. It is important as a man, as a woman who probably has their family, you want to be sure that your family is protected. If something happens to me today, will my children still go to that school I want them to go to? If there is a permanent disability and I'm not able to walk, how am I able to continue to feed? I had a bad experience sometime when I was in Port Harcourt. I had a client who worked in a chemical company and chemical entered his eyes and he got blinded. And the company tried to pay him salary for 3 months. And after 3 months, they said they cannot continue and they laid him off. Now he's blind, he could no longer walk. Imagine if he's the sole breadwinner of the family, what then happens? There are certain insurance that you can buy into where if such happens, the insurance company may probably say, we'll pay you 50% of your salary for the next 10 years, or we'll pay you your salary for a certain period. So you just want to have some of those covers just to ensure that if something happens, you are still able to achieve those things you have dreamt of. If there's a job loss, can my children still go to school? Maybe you want to think of setting up an education plan for your children and all of that. Another very important thing to look at is emergency fund. This is very critical. And experts have said that for everybody, you need to have an emergency fund. And this is for us, we think that you should have at least, worst case scenario, 3 months of your expenses saved. So let's say you earn 1 million every month and you spend an average of 600 or 700,000 monthly, to run your home. It means that you need to keep at least 2.1 million, somewhere in a liquid form, such that if an emergency occur, life-threatening issues, you can easily fall back to that fund and solve that problem. Where there are no emergency funds, people can develop high blood pressure when things come suddenly and they are not able to handle it. The next thing to also consider when you are creating your financial plan is investment planning. What are we looking at here? First, you need to understand your risk appetite. What sort of risk am I able to take? Am I the kind of person that can invest in equity? You know that equity, you can generate so much return, and also in equity, you can lose funds if prices begin to go south, right? So if prices begin to drop, am I the kind of person that can easily have a heart attack, when I see those numbers? So you need to understand what your risk appetite is. What sort of risk can I take? And that is why you see during the time of MMM, just because certain people in your offices were into MMM, some of us just joined. And in joining those MMM, we didn't know that, this was a high risk investment. And when the scheme collapsed, some people just took it and went. Some people died because their risk appetite could not manage those kind of shocks. So it's important that you understand that, and then you understand, where do I want to invest? There are two broad areas of investment. You either want to invest in real assets or in financial assets. Investing in real assets is probably you want to invest in buildings, you want to go into businesses of buying products and selling things you can see and touch, or you want to invest in financial assets of probably looking for an investment company to say, I have this 100 million somewhere, I just want to give you, help me buy bond, a 10-year bond, and I get 18% every year. Pay to me as coupon. Is that what you want to do? You need to understand the investment environment. What are their pros and cons for each investment? And then the next you also want to look at, which is very critical for us in the pension space, is retirement planning. In retirement planning, what you are probably looking at is, now I know that in the next 5 or 10 years, I'm going to retire. What is going to fund my retirement? Because at that time, salaries will no longer come, bonuses will no longer come. So what am I going to be funding my retirement? Am I going to be depending on my retirement savings account? If I'm going to be depending on my retirement savings account, how much do I have there? What is it going to translate to in terms of my monthly pension when I retire? So you want to speak to your relationship officers who are readily available to help you do those analyses. So there's what we call pension fund analysis. So we're able to do a projection for you in the future that can tell you, based on the value you have today, based on what you are contributing, and based on what you are likely going to retire with, this is your monthly pension. So you can then look at it and say, is this able to fund my retirement when salaries are no longer coming in, or do I want to do things like additional voluntary contribution to boost my balance such that by the time I retire, my pension is able to take care of me. For other people, they will say, okay, I'm not depending on pension alone. I have houses that I'm going to be getting rental income, so I think from what I'll be getting from the rental income and my RSA, I think I will be fine. But it is important to have those conversations, know what those numbers are, so that when you then get into retirement, you are not then taken unaware. And lastly is estate planning. Estate planning simply means how you want to transfer your assets that you have labored for, that you have worked for over these years, how you want to ensure those assets are transferred to your next generation, being your children, whoever you are going to be leaving behind as beneficiaries. Do you want to set up a will? Do you probably have a lot of properties such that you want to set up a trust? They have their advantages, they have their disadvantages. If you are going for a will, yes, you would have said, this is who I want to transfer my asset to. However, upon receiving the asset by your beneficiaries, they are going to go through probate. They are going to pay all the probate taxes, which I understand is about 10% of the value. Or you want to go into trust so that they don't go through probate, because trust is more or less like a living ownership, right? So even when you are no more, the property have ownership, but then they are holding it in trust for your beneficiaries. So these are conversations that we are available to have. Like I said, this is just a short crash course on financial planning. We are willing to engage you further and help you create a plan tailored to you. We are able to do that, and we expect that after this session, we'll have all of those conversations go on. Larry, I hope I have not spent too much time. I'll have to stop here. Thank you.
I think it's been an engaging one. Thank you so much. I know there's so much to talk about, and we'll expect that perhaps other areas there will be questions. So just to remind us that we can actually use the Q&A. Although some of us are dropping questions in the chats, we would want to plead that we should use the Q&A for the questions. We can also take some live questions if there is time during a Q&A session, but please use the Q&A to drop your questions in the meantime. So without wasting further time, I will just invite my next colleague, Olusola Adekunle, who is going to tell us about the process and the documentation necessary for the planning. How do you go about this? More like. So, Shola.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry. Good afternoon once again to esteemed valued clients. Like Larry has mentioned, I will be running us through the requirement for accessing your retirement benefits. And I know for our audience today, it's a diverse of people who are here. I think we have people who are already retired and people who are about going into retirement, and people who have retired and maybe in the process of applying for their retirement benefits, and those that are in the process of retirement. As much as possible, we'll try to ensure that we cover everyone. So this portion of the presentation speaks to people who have retired or about retiring, and you would like to know what steps you need to take. So I'll put that in just simple 5 steps for us so that we can remember using the tip of your finger. The first is called the housekeeping rule. So the housekeeping rule talks about reviewing your employment records, your details and information. A number of people, since we joined employment, we haven't had cause to go back to the HR to update our file. We've moved locations. Some have even gone transfer. There have been promotions and changes that have been made over time, but we haven't really had that opportunity to do those changes. And they play a major role when assessing or planning for assessing your retirement benefits or planning towards retirement, such that the information you have with your pension fund administrator and your employer, there is no contrast, and you can see consistency in how those information can happen and then play out. The next step, which we call talk to us, one of the things that we try to tell our clients who are still in active service before retirement start knocking is to say that 6 months before retirement, you should reach out to us. Let's start that conversation so that we can walk you through the necessary steps, documentation, things that you need to do that will assist you in ensuring that within the shortest possible time after retirement, you can access your funds. And we believe within this phase, you will be able to do all of that with you. There's a famous adage that says the best time to cut a tree was 25 years ago, and the next best time is now. Again, you are saying that I don't have 6 months, I've already retired. What do I do? You are not too late. We can have that conversation now. And I can also say that should you require that we have this dedicated session with your organization, we are very much available. I'll be more than willing to have that session with you. The next one speaks about data validation. And this speaks to particularly those that are in the state or federal government and NDS who would be required to do verification either with the state government or with federal. It is important that we validate all of our information, our documents, particularly those that will be provided by the employer, such that our date of birth information, your information with NIN, your pension, there are consistencies across board, such that there are no issues when it is time to conduct that verification. Appointment letters, various payslips that you might require, even those that you've not been keeping track of prior to this time, you get to have them. Then the next one speaks about retirement plan. A number of us have expectation while we're at work, and if you're not thinking about, we're not thinking about it before, it's also a good time to start thinking about it now to say, what exactly do I want? If you cast your mind back to the previous presentation, which speaks to the pre-retirement part of it, and then also addresses post-retirement part of it. So if you are then saying that, what do I need to do? Then you can then link what your expectation and plan is for retirement to what option you want to do. So for instance, when assessing your retirement benefit, you could say, I don't want any lump sum so that my monthly pension will be higher, if that's what will fulfill your retirement plan. And you could say, I want higher lump sum to take a lower monthly pension, if that's what will fulfill my retirement plan. Is it a time for me to pick up my phone and start calling all of my relatives that have retired? Here I am, or a time to just reconsider and then do some sort of personal reflection on how you want to move on from there. I'll close with the other part that says selecting the preferred option. At ARM Pensions, we've simplified the process of assessing your retirement benefits. And one of the good things that we have done is that across our offices in the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, you can walk into any of our offices to begin the process of retirement benefits, or talk to any of our dedicated relationship managers, or make use of our alternative channels. We have the email, the social media, and the digital platforms. Moving on, I will speak to what will it take and how long in terms of duration in assessing your retirement benefits. Like I mentioned, once we have all of the documentation, we'll review them in-house to be sure they are complete. For those in the private sector, there are instances where we need to write your last employer to confirm the status of your pension remittance, date of exit, and other information as appropriate. The 14-day that has been indicated there basically speaks to the timeline it takes in case we have organization, maybe they've relocated, but there is delay in response. So what we do is that by law, we write a first letter. The law requires that we wait a period of 5 days before we send a reminder, and wait 7 days. We then use the acknowledgement of those letters to process your retirement benefits. Hence why the date is indicated here. But we can work with you where the alternative that applies and ensure that we move ahead with that process. Post-review, your application goes straight to PenCom. Our internal review is within 48 hours. And all things being equal, between 5 to 10 working days, we hope to get approval from PenCom. And thereafter, we make payments post-PenCom approval. Payment period, which is the most interesting part for a lot of people, is within 48 hours and your account is credited. Being on monthly pension, you don't need to make any other visit or do any other thing. The next thing that happened is that you get to be receiving your payment on your account on a monthly basis. Please note that for various benefit application types, there are the requirements differ, so also the applicable documents. But within having those conversations, we'll be more than happy to guide you through on what should be done. My next colleague, in going ahead with the presentation, we'll get more details around those benefits. Thanks once again for your time. Over to you, Larry.
Thank you so much, Shola. That was quick and precise, but I think it's loaded with a lot of information that's I think our guests need today. So thank you for sharing those information. Now we're going to just we are getting to the nitty-gritty right now, and you mentioned payments, and this is all about payments right now. So now that you're a retiree, what are the things? I'm speaking futuristically now. So at the time you become a retiree, what are the options that are available to you? What are the payments they are going to be receiving at that time? And that is all we're going to be talking about now. So I will invite Charles Fahonda, who is from our benefits administration team, to take us through that journey. Charles.
Thank you, Larry. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we talk about the withdrawal options, we'll be talking about the factors that determines the withdrawal option. And that is very important for us to be intimated with the required information as to what determines your retirement benefit. With respect to your retirement benefit, you're assessing your lump sum and you're assessing your pension, which can be paid on a monthly basis and a quarterly basis. And there are some factors that determine that. There are a lot of myths around the fact that these withdrawals, at the point of retirement, you can access 50% of your lump sum withdrawal of your RSA as lump sum. There are also myths around the fact that, one PFA pays a higher lump sum than the other. Another myth is centered around once you choose lump sum, after you've accessed your lump sum and you're on program withdrawal, after 10 years on program withdrawal, your fund will be exhausted and you will no longer be on pension payments. So those are some of the myths that you get when you are making an informed decision with respect to your retirement benefits. And it's important that we understand those factors that determines what you can access, so that you won't make a wrong decision, or you won't be following the myth that happens when it comes to withdrawal benefits to your access at retirement. Now, before we look at the options available, every retirement benefit is being computed by a retirement benefit computation, and this retirement benefit computation is developed by National Pension Commission. This computation is provided across all PFAs, so there is a unified computation in assessing your retirement benefit. And this computation, there are some key parameters that determines what you're able to access as lump sum and what you're able to access as pension. The first thing is that the pension value is being prioritized above the lump sum value. So before you can even access anything, your RSA balance will be considered, your gender will be considered, your final salary will be considered, that's your emolument, and your age at retirement will be considered before determining what you can access as pension value first, before assessing your lump sum value. Another thing that, another information that you need to be well abreast about is the fact that the RSA balance sufficiency in paying 50% of what you are earning while in employment takes an important role. So if, for example, you are earning, let's say you are earning 1 million at the point of retirement, by the time you are retiring, the computation is done in such a manner that you should be able to access 50% of what you are earning, which is about 500,000 at retirement. Now, there are instances where the RSA balance is not sufficient to pay the 50% of your final salary. That is where the regulatory lump sum concessionary of 25% come into play. So in instances where the RSA balance is not sufficient to pay 50% of your final salary as pensions, then you will be able to access 25% of your RSA balance as lump sum. Then the remaining 75% will be spread across an estimated period of time to determine what you will be able to access as pension value. Now, another thing you also look at is that for that pension value itself, it has to be 1/3 of the prevailing minimum wage. So currently, the prevailing minimum wage in Nigeria is 30,000 naira. And so what that means is that your RSA balance should be sufficient to pay at least 10,000 naira as monthly pension. Then once that 10,000 naira has been spread for an estimated period of time, the balance is what will be paid as your lump sum. So the 50% lump sum is not an automatic withdrawal that can happen at retirement. It's a function of what is available in your account. Now, having discussed about the factors that determines the withdrawal options, there are two key lump sum options that are available in the pension scheme. The first one is the en bloc, and the second one is the lump sum withdrawal. Now, remember I said that in instances where that the RSA balances has to be sufficient to pay 1/3 of the minimum wage before you can determine what the lump sum is. So for RSA balances whose balances are not sufficient to pay 1/3 of the minimum wage, then the entire balances will be paid as en bloc payments. But in instances where the RSA balance is sufficient to pay 1/3 of the minimum wage, then a percentage of it will be spread across an estimated period of time to assess your pension value. Then the residual balance will be used to pay your lump sum at the end of the day. And the lump sum payment could be between 25% and 50%. So there's no automatic value of what you can access. It's a function of what is available in your account, vis-a-vis the gender, your gender, your final salary and age at retirement. Now, having discussed the lump sum options, so in instances where you have an RSA balance that is sufficient to pay 1/3 of the minimum wage, then there are two options available which you can use to access your pensions on a periodic basis. Remember that you can access your pensions on a monthly basis and you can access on a quarterly basis, depending on the choice you'll be making. Now, looking at the two options, we have the program withdrawal and we have the retiree life annuity. We are here to, share the attributes that is attached to those two options. The two options are unique in their own way, and we are here to just share the attributes that is attached to them. For program withdrawal is being regulated by National Pension Commission and administered by the Pension Fund Administrators, which is the PFA. While for the retiree life annuity, it is being regulated by National Insurance Commission, NICON, and is also administered by life insurance companies. And for program withdrawal, after the lump sum has been paid, the residual balances will be reinvested by the PFAs, and the return on investment that is accrued to the fund, whether it is profit or loss, is also imparted in your retirement savings account. Both the retiree and the PFA shares the risk. And from the statement, you can see how the performance of the retirement savings account, if it's making progress or not. For retiree life annuity, one unique thing about the product is that after the lump sum is being accessed, the balances is transferred to the insurance company and it goes into a pool of fund. And from that pool of fund, whatever return on investment that is accrued to that pool stays with that pool. But and whatever, So it's different from program withdrawal, where you can see the balances that is accrued in terms of profit or loss into the individual RSAs. Now, another thing about program withdrawal is that there is a possibility of earning periodic pension enhancement. So your pension is 100,000 this year. It's possible that in the next couple of years rather, you'll be able to enjoy an increased pension value. Currently for retiree life annuity, that's not the case. And maybe probably to happen in the future, but that's not the case at the moment. I'll be taking us through in practical times the differences or the attributes of the two options. Now, for program withdrawal, let's use program withdrawal and annuity with these variables, for example. So let's assume you have 50 million in your account and you are age 50. Once you're able to access at least 25% of your retirement savings account balance, which is 12.5 million naira, the residual balances will be 37.5 million, which is the same across the two options. Now, what happened is that in most cases for annuity, the monthly pension is on the high side compared to program withdrawal, as can be exhibited on the screen. And on a yearly basis, we can see the values that can be accessed at both ends. So for program withdrawal, you can access 3.5 on the yearly basis. For annuity, 4.1 is being accessed on a yearly basis. It's just a simulation here. Then let's assume that the client has spent 30 years after retirement. The client is age 80 at both ends, and the RSA holder now dies. Now, what happened to the RSA at both ends? Now, for people on program withdrawal, the payout within the 30-year period on retirement is 136.4 million. And in the case of the other RSA holder on annuity, for the 30 years period on annuity, he's been able to access 123 million. Now you look at what is the difference. The difference between the two, even though the monthly pension at the beginning was lower than annuity, but because of the potentials for periodic enhancement, and that was why the amount of value the client is able to, the retiree is able to access has increased, relatively compared to the counterpart on annuity. And there is a guaranteed period of 10 years that is attached to annuity. What that guaranteed period of 10 years means is that the client, the RSA holder will still be able to access his pensions after the guaranteed period of 10 years. But if death sets in at any point after 10 years, the beneficiary will not be able to access any balances that could be accrued from the pool. But in the case of a retiree on program withdrawal, if death sets in at any point, whether before 10 years or after 10 years, whatever balances is left, the beneficiary can have access to it once there is the right documentation has been provided. So you can look at the differences between the two balances. At the end of the 30-year window, even though at the beginning, the monthly pension for annuity was higher, but at the end of the 30-year period, the total amount that has been accessed as program withdrawal is higher than what was accessed in annuity. And at the end of the 30-year window, even after death setting, the beneficiary is able to access more money compared to the counterparts in annuity. Those are the attributes of program withdrawal and annuity. And in addition to that, during the retirement period, there are other withdrawal types that will happen. And one of them is ABC. We have instances where retiree goes back to the employment or is on contract employment, and those funds that are being remitted as pension comes in voluntarily. So those contributions can be accessed as voluntarily at the point of exit from the contract employment. And for additional benefit payments, that applies to instances where there is contributions that the employer did not remit before accessing the retirement benefit. So in those instances, it will be subject to the additional benefit computation, and the additional benefit computation will be able to access what the RSA holder can access from the additional money that came into the retirement savings account. So these are, some of the withdrawal options that are available. And I believe at the end of this session, you'll be able to make an informed decision with respect to your retirement benefits. Thank you. Up to you, Larry.
Thank you so much, Charles. I think that was also packed with a lot of information while you were talking. I can see hands raised, questions or chats dropped and all of that. So, and let me quickly speak to the question. I understand the question and answer panel was not working earlier, but I think I can see that some questions have been dropped right now and it's been answered. But rest assured, like I mentioned, immediately after this next session on the health, I will also going to have a question and answer session. So we'll bring some of those questions here and have our facilitators to also speak to them. I can also see some hands raised. Perhaps we could also have some people who can also speak and ask their question directly, but I'll still advise that you should still use the question and answer session panel to drop your question in the meantime, so that we can also, perhaps there's no time to take your question because we don't want to keep everybody here. We're still going to do a compilation of the questions, provide the necessary answers, and send to you as part of the follow-up after this session. So for some of you, I can see somebody who had asked that, are we going to provide these slides? Yes, we are going to provide this information that we have here and send to you via email in our follow-up. All right, so for the last presentation for today, before we go to the question and answer, I will invite Dr. Stephen Olawi from AXA Mansard, who is going to take us through this next session titled Healthy Living. Hello, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Larry. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to start. So we're talking about retirement or pre-retirement, and then we're talking about health. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Stephen from AXA. So as we all know, that health is wealth. And so we're talking about how do I maintain a good health, a health outcome? Like I tell people, health is not something that falls on you. Good health is not something that falls on your lap. It's something you have to work towards. And so we're talking about healthy living, and this is my outline. Next slide, please. So usually there is a saying that what a man does not know, cannot kill him. And I said, no, what a man does not know when it comes to health, it will kill you. It's just a matter of time. So what is health? According to WHO, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So if I assess everyone on this call now, I can assess your state of health. In other words, your present state, whether you are healthy or whether you're not, whether you have any comorbidity, right? And those are functions of certain lifestyle you have adopted. So what we're saying is that if you want a good, healthy outcome, where during your retirement, where you should enjoy, rather than, example I give is that when most people don't take their health important and cultivate habit that enables them to have a good health outcomes, most of the health conditions that arises comes also at your retirement time. So when you're about to retire, when you should either enjoy your money to be on vacation with family and friends, if you've not taken your health as very important, then it is at those age that health problem usually, comes up or is suit. So healthy living is that having that opportunity, the capability, and the motivation to act in a way that positively affects your health. So we're saying that if you want to have a good health outcome after retirement, you must work intentionally about that. There's certain key things you must take care of, and that is what we're talking about today. Next slide, please. So healthy living, what is healthy living? Healthy living is a continuous process of making healthy choices and acting on them, right? When I talk to people, a lot of people talk about there is a decline in terms of expected age compared to our fathers and grandfathers. And you talk about, yes, this is true, but this can be, you can get a relationship in terms of their lifestyle. They're physically active. They eat, pollution was not as much as now in terms of water pollution in the water bodies, in the atmosphere. Most of their food are not processed food. So their lifestyle enables them to have a good health. So when we incorporate healthy living, we get to live longer as a result. We get to be stronger, more productive, and then we get to look healthy and alter as long as possible. So what we're saying is that if you want to achieve a good health outcome as you grow old, naturally the body functions decline. But if you don't take into consideration major health indices that determine outcome, then you might have problems after retirement. And what that means is that the money you save, rather than enjoy them, you might then have to spend them on health issues that arises. Next slide. So we're going to look at different things we have to pay attention on to, to achieve a good health outcome. So we can see this person here, somewhere in the sea of obesity. He doesn't care about what they eat or what they drink, and they're not physically active. When we talk about sedentary lifestyle, what we say is that in a 24-hour clock, if the amount of time you're physically active is less than between 6 and 8 hours, then you're categorized under individuals that observe a sedentary lifestyle. And that has a lot of implication in terms of cardiovascular disease. So people who are not physically active or who don't engage in any form of exercise, they are at risk of, obesity, which is a major risk factor. In fact, obesity now is the second cause of cancer all over the world, following behind smoking. So if you eat unhealthy and you're not exercising regularly, you get to gain weight and you get to have obesity. And obesity is the major risk factor for major chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular accident. In extreme cases, it can lead to deformity. And then there's a lot of psychological issues that comes about that. So it is important that we're physically active and also we get. So when we talk about healthy living, we're saying you have to live with a mission, right? There is the effect of your actions and decisions and vice versa. So for you to do that, because it's not something that is, I would say, is easy to do, right? Because of the lifestyle in the modern world now does not encourage a healthy lifestyle. It is a very fast system where we eat on the go, we work on the go, little or no time. We're in densely populated cities. So all this lifestyle that we find ourselves on, we might not observe healthy living. So you must then find out the reason why you want to be healthy and why you want to incorporate healthy living into your lifestyle. You must seek your why, and then you must act on them. Next slide. So I'm going to start with this, and I want us to be sincere. If I offer you these two food, on the left, you have a basket full of fruit and vegetables, and then on the right, you have a very delectable hamburger. You can see it's even double decker with some cheese, some onions, tomatoes, some fries. To be sincere, which one will you go for? And I would have said, let me get a poll on that. But, I think most people will go for the hamburger in most cases because of it's so much pleasure in eating it. And the fact is this, we do not say that you cannot indulge yourself one time, once or sometimes in taking all this food, but it cannot be your regular go-to meals. Why? Your immune system that helps to protect you, right? It feeds more on your minerals, macronutrients, vitamins, and a lot of antioxidant, which you get from fruit and vegetables. So what we're saying is that one of the things you must consider very important in terms of having a good health outcome is diet. So, and what we're saying is that your diet must be a healthy diet that has more fruit, legumes together, and you must limit the amount of processed food, high sugar content food in your diet. Next slide. So what I'm saying is that what is the popular dietary conventions let your meal should be about 2 to 3 servings of vegetables and fruits on a daily basis. Like I said, yes, you can have carbohydrate, but you should reduce your calories. Why? Most of what your body needs, right, in terms of functionality. Now, we know that individuals can live with one day meal in 24 hours, right? The reason why most people eat is not because of they're hungry, but because of the cravings of the food. So what we're saying is that for us to get to grow healthy or to have a healthy, outcome, you must implement a lot of fruit and vegetables. You must limit intake of processed food and also consumption of red meat on the long run. Then you must also try to get more of whole grain instead of refined grains, and then a lot of fruit and whole grains. And the reason because they contain antioxidants. And antioxidants help to mop off free radicals that we generate on a regular basis and also from stress. And they help in free radicals can initiate cancer process because they destroy major molecules like a DNA, like major proteins. So taking a lot of fruit and vegetables will help produce antioxidant that mops off, free radicals. So diet is a major aspect we must look at. There's some food we call high glycemic index food, where the sugar content, when you consume them, are released in a very quick time into the bloodstream. And that can increase your sugar content in the blood and put you at risk of diabetes. So we're saying that make sure your food is well balanced. Carbohydrate should be about 30 to 35%. Your fruit and vegetables should take a large portion of your table, of your food, and then proteins and water should then complement. So diet is a major thing you want to focus on if you want to have a good health outcome. Next slide, please. Another thing we'll talk about is exercise. We know now that individuals who exercise will live longer than those who don't exercise because of how exercise affects the cardiovascular system. And like we said, the leading cause of most death across the world now are cardiovascular diseases. And so we're saying that you must, try to have some form of exercise. The benefit ranges from mental alertness to increased physical strength, better conditioning, more youthful look, and increased sexual performance. So what we're saying is that exercise is important. What is recommended by WHO that you should have mild to moderate exercise at least 30 minutes 3 times in a week. And when I say mild to moderate, I'm talking about either a walk, a brisk walk, a jogging, just about 30 minutes. It helps a lot in your metabolic rate, also helps a lot in dealing with weight. Now, when we talk even of hypertension, a chronic condition, losing your weight about 10 to 20 kg drops your blood pressure about 5 to 10 millimeter mercury. So exercise is something we cannot overemphasize. Now, another thing we want to talk about is sleep, right? Sleep is one action that affects the whole human body, the whole system, whether we come from. Because why? During the sleep, most of the systems are shut down, and then it helps in repair. So it's something we advocate about. There's also the insurgence of coronary arterial diseases because people are not sleeping well, and also neurodegenerative diseases because of the connection with post-sleep. So sleep is something that we should have. What is recommended is you should have at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But I tell people, if you can't make that time, try to close the gap, maybe about 6 hours a night to have a good sleep. Why? It is when you sleep that your body repairs itself. Your cardiovascular system shuts down. There was a study done in the US, and during the season change, they lose an hour and gain an hour. And we found out that when there is a loss of an hour in the time clock, there is a whooping increase of 21% of cardiac attack. And when they gain in 1 hour, there's a reduction in cardiac attack. So that tells you the impact of sleep in all the system. In terms of mental reassessment, when you sleep, your body helps, the brain is shut down, it helps memory consolidation. And that is why there's a saying that if you have any problem, you should sleep over it. Why? When you sleep, you are able to somehow dull your emotions so you can be objective in your thinking. So it also helps in behavioral benefits. So sleep is something we must try to get. And then to get that, you must observe your sleeping hygiene. One of the things to talk about is make sure you sleep. You can have a warm bath at night. It helps to drop the body core temperature, which can help to initiate sleep. Doing some stretch exercise and help relax your muscles, right? Another thing that we talk about when it comes to sleep is Most people can sleep, but they don't have a good sleep because they have a lot of things on their mind. They're worried about a lot of things. And so one of the ways to cheat the brain, a cheat code we have is have a worry journal. A worry journal is you have a booklet right beside your bed where you can write out the problems that are bothering you. That way, your brain knows that you can forget, and then you can take up the problems when you wake up. So you can have that cheat code. Another thing is ensure that we sleep. The reason why we sleep at night is because of darkness sends a signal to the eye, and then that initiates melatonin through the suprachiasmatic nucleus for us to produce melatonin. So often the light in some cases can help an individual. Another thing you have to avoid is toxic substance into your system if you want to get a good outcome. So quit smoking, reduce alcohol consumption, desist from taking illicit drug abuse, and also abuse of over-the-counter medication. There's been an increased rate of chronic kidney disease as a result of abuse of NSAIDs or chronic pain reliever. So please, all these things are something we have to observe if you want to have a good health outcome. Then the last thing I tell people is health screening. You must ensure to do your health screening at least once in a year. Why? There are certain diseases that they will not give you symptoms at the early stage where you can intervene and then you can cure the disease. So the only way you can pick them early, like certain cancers, is if you do your health screening. So we're always telling individuals, make sure you do at least your health screening. For our females, you should know how to do your self-breast examination. You should do your pap smear at least once every 2 to 3 years. Every male should do a prostate-specific antigen at least once every year against prostate cancer. And then when you get your 50 or 60 years old, you might try to do your colonoscopy against for colon cancer and the likes. Now, if you have any issue of anyone having any cancer in your family, then those screenings must come more serially than those who don't have those history. So you must ensure to do your yearly screening. Now, the last but not the least is you must know your numbers. Now, what do I mean by knowing your numbers? Next slide. You must know key basic health indices that are tell you about chronic condition. You should know your blood pressure, right? Hypertension is a major chronic condition that leads to stroke, kidney failure, heart attack, heart failure, erectile dysfunction, damage of blood vessels. So you should know your blood pressure and notice within the normal range. Normal blood pressure will be below 120 and over 80. You should know your body mass index, which is an indicator to whether you are overweight, you are obese, or you're in obesity class 1, class 2, class 3. You understand? So you should also know your waist circumference. Some people may not have a total in obesity, but they may have what we call truncal obesity, which is a risk factor for metabolic disorder that predispose them to diabetic, hypertension, bad cholesterol, and metabolic disorder. So you should know these values and know that if they are abnormal, you can see your doctor so that you can correct them because they will determine your health outcome. Also know your triglyceride, cholesterol so that it doesn't affect, coronary arterial disease. And then don't forget, you should know your fasting glucose so that you can know whether you're in a pre-diabetic state or diabetic state, and then you can manage them very well. So we say data is life. You should know all these major indices of health so that you can correct them if they're abnormal, and then you can live a healthy. So I'm going to leave you with this parting word. Health is a continuum, right? On the right side, there are people who are reactive episodically. They only talk about health when they have disease states, right? While on the left, you have people who are just reactive. Only when they have disease problem, they see a doctor. Or you can be on the right, people who are very, proactive. They're more about prevention and maximizing their vitality. They adopt healthy lifestyles and attitudes so that they have the good outcomes they want. So the question is, which end will you be? Will you going to be those people who are reactive and episodically see conditions or they have problem, or individuals who are going to take the bull by the horn in terms of their health, do the things they need to do, adopt healthy lifestyle so that they are always healthy, and so we're not talking about the disease. So don't forget, the last thing I'm going to tell you is this. Your health is an investment. It's not an expense. So invest in your health, and then you'll get the health outcome. Thank you very much for your audience. I'm sure you've learned a great deal about your health. And if you have any questions, I'll take them. Thank you very much. Over to you, Larry.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor. Indeed, we have learned a lot. I'm sure everybody on this call, as even for us as moderators or facilitators here. We really learned a lot from your presentation. So thank you so much. And I think the time that we have been waiting for is here. We are here to take questions now. Some of the questions that have been asked in the chat have been, my colleagues are attending to them right now, even in the question and answer panel. So I think if you would like to also ask a question, I'm sorry, I'll move from that, maybe take one or two, go to the question and answer session, panel where we have not answered, take one or two from those two, and so that we can quickly get out of here. So I think there's an hand up here, so let me quickly get, I can see Egbegi Philip. Your hand is up. Let me, you should be able to speak now. Can you unmute yourself to speak? Egbegi Philip. Okay, while we are waiting for, yes, can you speak now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure
to
enjoy this program with you. My
Yes,
question is the tiny figures at the end of your RSA account as the interest on these contributions. How is it treated?
Okay.
That's my question. That's the
Okay,
amount.
sorry.
The
say that again. The interest. Okay.
Accruing from investment of the RSA amount. How is it treated?
Yes.
Is it paid to the beneficiary, or how is it treated?
Oh, okay. I can quickly just answer that. Yes, so interest on your account is reflected in your RSA. So it's credited to you as the owner of the account, right? And it's something that accrues on a daily basis based on the performance of the underlying assets or investments that are making up the portfolio. So that's why if you check your statement of accounts, you see where it will state how much you've contributed so far from inception to date and the amount of interest you've also generated on your account from inception to date also. And the addition of the two is what you see as your RSA balance at any point in time. So interest or income or gain that accrues on your account goes straight into your account. So just to answer your question. So thank you for that. The next hand I can see up is Okudili sorry, I'm not saying it. Chukuma, yes, Okudili Chukuma. You can unmute yourself to speak now. Okudili Chukuma. Okay, let me go to the question and answer and see if there's any question that hasn't been answered from there. Okay, there's a question that says,
good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. You can go ahead.
Okay. It's a pleasure joining this meeting. Now, there is something I'm trying to find out, two questions per se. Now, the first one is, can a man earning 50K, which is 50,000, have some of these policies you mentioned, like the first speaker mentioned in his slide? And these policies are life insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, or even meet the retirement plan with that 50K.
Okay.
That is one of the questions. Then
Okay,
the other one,
the second one,
is a challenge I observed. I have not seen my contribution for January 2023 to May 2023. But I got that of June December. Why is it reflecting like that? But those are the two questions.
You've not gotten January, but you've January 2024, but you've gotten June.
January 2023.
2023
to May 2023. Okay. Yeah. I got that of June 2023.
So you suspect that January is missing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think what should help us, what would help us is for us to first of all look into your account and really confirm that. Sometimes the January remittance might have been credited into your account already, or perhaps maybe due to network issues, you didn't get the alerts as at the time it was sent and all of that. So that may not be responsible, but we need to check to just confirm that, yes, it's already in your account. So if you don't mind, you can send us an email at info@armpension.com so that with your PIN number, and let's just do that check and get back to you. You can chat us on our WhatsApp line, which would somebody will drop the WhatsApp line on the chat, so you can just chat with us, and our officials will quickly do that check for you to ascertain. And if there's any problem regarding that, we'd like to help you just take it up and get it resolved. All right. So then to your first question. So I think I will direct.
Sorry, can you repeat the info at what?
info@armpension.com. ARMpension, one word. info@armpension.com. But I will also have them, it will be dropped in the chat. So you can also pick it from there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So for the other question around, somebody has 50K, can the person go about this insurance, all these perhaps lofty things that have been mentioned? So I'll have Uchenna answer that. Uchenna.
Okay, Larry, thank you. I think that question is very important. One of the myths of retirement plan or financial planning is the fact that it is meant for people who earn so much. The actual truth is that financial planning is for everybody, and it's even more important for people who don't earn so much. For the insurance plans that we mentioned, you can always get a plan that fits into what you can afford, right? Some people can get a life insurance plan and pay as much as 2 million, 5 million for premium. Others can pay as much as just 50,000. And if anything happens, the insurance company will probably give you some sort of money. So there is always, it's not a one cap fit all. Depending on what your pocket size is, you can get an insurance plan that can take care of you, basically. So like I said, we would like to engage you further on that and expose you to some of these plans that you can take advantage of. So the fact that you have a client who earns 50,000, the client can get something within their range. I don't know if that addresses that question, Larry.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lily. All right. So I'll we'll just take 2-3 people or 2-3 questions together to manage time. We don't want to keep you here for long. I want to thank you for staying on. And just to mention, perhaps we're unable to answer all the questions here because of time. I can see so many hands up, so many of them. So please, if we're unable to reach or answer your question, just still drop them so that we can form part of the questions we're going to provide answers or response to and send to you after this session, so that we can have a complete overview of what we have discussed here. So I'll just take like 2-3 other people here, and we can take it from there. All right, I have Dominic Uganze. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that quite well. You should be able to unmute yourself to speak now. Dominic Uganze.
Yeah, good afternoon. Larry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sir.
First of all, I want to commend you guys, the lectures I've received today, and I can say I did not do a mistake in choosing you guys. So I'm not retired, but the knowledge I have gained now will make me to take an informed decision, especially about the the perpetual annuity and then the program withdrawal. But I now go straight to my question. I wouldn't know whether it was Charles or Uchenna that made that comment. He was talking about the type of life you want to do, you want to choose after retirement. In terms of, do you just enter quietly and keep quiet, or do you think it's better to inform all those financial dependents on you to tell them that you have retired, or do you just want to go into inner room, be reflecting about your life? Because he mentioned something like that. Is there any way somebody can decide the best way to choose? So I want to retire, I want to go inward without informing them that I've retired, or I should go and do Christmas party, cook rice, give all of them. After that, I ask them to go home now, that from now, nobody should come and be bugging me with this sense of entitlement again. Which one do you advise? Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Interesting. All right. I think that should be for Uchenna, and maybe much around estate planning. Just before you answer that, Uche, to manage time, let me quickly take one or two other people so that we can answer everything together. I can see Uche is ready to answer that. So, Mohammed, I have Mohammed Abba. You should also be able to unmute yourself now. Let's take your question. Mohammed Abba.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly now.
Sorry. Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. My question is linked to one of the earlier participants who asked about the insurance issue. I was just looking at this. I know it's not a part of the policy from the Pension Commission, but since you have a large number of people involved in this thing, and healthcare, quality healthcare is extremely expensive in this country. So at an advanced age, it becomes difficult to access such facilities. And you have so many people contributing to the pool. So, for example, you have AXA that is partly in this presentation. Is there no way some form of deductions can be made from the general pool, minimal amount that would really not affect the contributors, such a way that these people, those of us retiring, can benefit from health services through this pension, through the health insurance schemes? It's something that I'm thinking you could suggest maybe to the Pension Commission to bring up like some sort of a law or something like that.
Great. All right. Great point you raised there, sir. Thank you so much. This is something that has been that's currently been discussed in the industry. Yes, to your point, the industry is trying to look at ways whereby some added benefits or belonging to the pension industry are being considered, and I believe that perhaps as the days and months and years roll by, I don't know when you are retiring and if those some of those things that are being considered in terms of reforms to the industry are going to probably come so quickly. But I can tell you that these are conversations that are being held, and the frameworks and how it's going to work are things that are still being considered before before they are brought out into the public for for implementation, as it were. So, but it's a great point you have raised, and fortunately also this is something that has been in the being discussed even at the industry level. So I will call just before Uche, there's a question in the, so that we can take the two questions at once now. There's a question in the chat area that I picked earlier. Somebody asked around that there's a head. Let me go to the question again. That some people said that there's the that access bought over ARM. Kindly clarify this. So to do justice to that, I'll call on Lola Adequate-Kotade, who's our head of customer experience, to quickly help to answer that question, after which Uche would answer the other question of the Christmas rice earlier.
Okay, good afternoon once again. Very quickly, let me just try and address the question that was asked. So what has happened is that Access Holdco has taken over ARM holding company shares in ARM Pensions. And by virtue of the fact that they're taking over these shares, it then means that there's going to be a merger between ARM Pensions and Access Pensions. In terms of where we are currently, We have the first no objection that has come from the National Pension Commission. What we're finally waiting for now is the final approval in principle, which would then enable both businesses begin to carry out all of the implementations and combinations of their books and all of that. A few people might ask, why are we doing this? We think that there's a larger benefit of ARM pensions and Access Pensions coming together in terms of providing a larger platform for all of our customers. We're able to offer more services. We're able to offer more products. We have a lot of customers who over the years have come to us to ask for certain services, which by law and by regulation as a PFA, we are limited and we're not able to provide them that service. But with this merger that is now going to happen, we are able to provide more services. We are able to provide more products. They're able to access other services that as a pension firm are not able to provide all of those services. As things begin to unfold, we will definitely pass across more information to all of you, our customers. But for now, this is where we are. That is the updates that we have to share. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Lola. So would Uche, can we have your response to the other question? After which we take just 2 more questions and would wrap it up from here.
Okay, Larry, thank you. I think I got laughing when that question came up. I would always want to be invited for retirement parties, but I think largely there's no rule of thumb for what to do at retirement. Some people like to celebrate it because it's worth it for you to work after probably 35 years of service. You are then taking a bow from active life, right? So I can't tell you to probably celebrate it or not celebrate it, but I think that what is important at that point is to probably have some conversations with your dependents, right? And like I said, part of the things we do when we conduct this comprehensive financial plan for you, we take into cognizance people who are dependent on you, right? We try to plug all of the financial obligations that you have with them into the plan and to see if what you are going to be getting at the point of retirement can continue to sustain that assistance. And these assistance are not forever. It definitely will have a stop date. So at the point of retirement, based on what you have accumulated so far, which is why I said it's important to know how you are going to be funding your retirement lifestyle, because at that time, some people want to go into philanthropy, some people want to do quite a number of things that have to do with giving of alms. And for you to be able to do that, it means that you would have accumulated as much as possible to help you do that. But in a situation where what you have accumulated, whether you've gotten properties that can give you income or your RSA balance is not as huge as you probably want it to be, it is important that you have those conversations with those set of people who are largely dependent on you. It's important because they need to know that all of those heavy salaries are no longer coming in, bonuses are no longer coming in. If I'm going to continue to provide this assistance, it may probably not be as much as I used to do. So it's healthy for you to have those conversations. So whether you want to retire quietly or you want to retire and throw out a party, for me, I think is largely dependent on the individual and what your finances is saying at that time. I think this is the best I could give. But like I said, we need to have a one-on-one discussion. We look at what your financial situation is saying. We run the financial analysis for you. We cannot tell you based on what we see. We can say, even if you are the type that want to be loud, but we think you should just keep it low key and just have conversations with the people that are dependent on you. And so largely, it just depends on what the situation is at the point of retirement, if you ask me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Uche, for that. There's just 2 more questions that we'll take. I'll take one from those that are raising hand. And I understand there's also a question for the doctor. Andrew Ajuya there's a question that, sorry, let me enable you to speak. Okay. Andrew Ajia, are you able to speak now? Okay, while we're waiting for Andrew Ajia, let me call on Mobolaji Komolafe. So apologies because of time. In fact, with all the hands raised, we might be here for the next 1 hour. And we know that this already peak period. We're all probably preparing to close for the day and we don't want to take your time. But this is a conversation
Can you hear me?
that we want to keep going. Yes, we can hear you. But just hold on,
Okay.
sir. So definitely would allow you to still drop your questions so that we can provide answers to them. Definitely. So not to worry that your questions are not going to be answered. You can please drop them or even reach out to your relationship officers and they would be glad to answer some of these. So yes, let's have Andrew or Mobolaji.
Okay. I know I wrote 2 different questions, but I want the one to the doctor. I'm not.
Okay, Mobolaji, you can hold on for now.
Okay, can I speak?
Yes, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, doctor, I want to ask certain questions because I'm retired now. And I can tell you all those health talk we had, they are good to go. And it is not easy. I'm talking from practical experience. It's not easy to carry those tests because I have worked in different places, but the last place I worked for was over 20 years. Now, at a very tender age, especially if you work in a very high zone like marketing, where you are under pressure, at a tender age, you're under pressure. And most of the times, you don't even know what you're doing because, first of all, you're under pressure. You don't sleep regularly at night. It doesn't tell on you because you are young. You think you have energy. But by the time you begin to get much older, it will have created a lot of problems because at 30, you might even develop high blood pressure. You'll be working with that pressure. Before you know, you get a CVA, most probably about 50, 55, close to retirement, or most probably you have your kidney shut down. That's what I passed through. And a lot of people, when you are working, when you want to even assess healthcare programs, we know there are a lot of insurance companies, but most of these companies don't even give the maximum. They give just what little insurance company entry that cannot do anything. I paid for my medical because I never played with my life. But even there, not many. Even when I had my CVA and I had my kidney shut down, I had to pay from my own pocket. Then we talk about, okay, you contribute, you do this. All those things are things that will come and wipe the money you've saved. Your children education, whether you like it or not, they are very, very consequential. Before you know, even if you make savings, this country where education is not well taken. The time I went, there were very good schools. Now there are not many good schools. These things wipe out a lot of your savings. Where do we find ourselves? Because at the end of the day, there are people who don't do ugly things. We do our job and do everything. So you become very vulnerable. And this set of investments doesn't even hold waters for you. So I just want to ask, doctor, because I can even tell not all medical practitioners even do all their tests. Some of them don't do their tests. If you do one test, you do all your vitals. How about your eyes? So there are many things. Yeah, thanks. I just want the doctor to address.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Dr. Stephen, I don't know how, if you get that and you can quickly just very quick response to that, Doctor.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your, I think your comment and question together. So yes, if you listen carefully, I said in my presentation that this is not something that is quite an equivalent task to do, but at the same time, it's something that is important. And I tell people, one of the things I tell people is, for instance, we're just saying try to make an effort, because we understand the climb that we are in and all the problems that we face. But there are certain things you can do. For instance, checking your vitals, right? Know your blood pressure. If it's uncontrolled, you can see a doctor, right? I know there's a lot of tension when it comes to walk. You can have some form of exercise. What I tell people is you can take the staircase instead of taking the lift. You can park. I know people who park maybe a distance before the office, they walk to office. The main point is this. All the things I've talked about are important and they'll play a factor in terms of outcome of your health. And so whether you observe them or you don't observe them, they are determinants of what will happen in old age and how you health. So what we're saying is that we are raising advocacy, we are raising awareness that the different ways, even in that tight schedule, understand what is important things and try your best in trying to do those things. So like I said, I give an example. I tell people, like example, try and get as much sleep as you can, even if you can't get up to the 8. And as I said, you can try maybe 5 hours or 6 hours. The closer you are, the better. But when you don't have that information at all, and you don't know what to work towards, then you are at bigger risks of having a bad outcome when it comes to health. So what we're saying is that let this thing be before you and then try your best to achieve as much as you can. And that will make a difference at the end of the day when it comes to your health. So for instance, know your data, know your blood sugar. You can do that. You can even enter an hospital to do that. Your HMO covers for that. Know your HMO covers for yearly screening. You can do that. Some people, even with their organization, having them cover for year screen, for annual screening, they don't do their screening. So that is what we're saying. There's certain things we can do, and then we should try and do them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for that also. So I'll call one more person from those that have raised their hands. Mobolaji Komalafe, are you able to take your, let us know your questions now, or question because of time. Hello, Mobolaji. Okay, I think we just have to move on. There's one question, maybe one last comment. I know I've seen 1 or 2 questions or comments around that also. Maybe just to quickly end with that around my balance, unit price drops or balance drop and all of that. I will quickly have Uchenna give an overview of that, and that will be our last question before we end it today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Larry. I think that question is important that we add to it. Coming into the year, starting from towards the end of last year, December 2023, we saw some unprecedented hike in prices of stocks, right? Within the first 1 month in the new year, for most of our fund, we had generated about 3% in 1 month return on investment. And what had happened at that time is that we saw the stock market, prices were just skyrocketing, at that time. But we understand how the investment environment works. We know that with time, all of those prices will balance out, which we started seeing happen towards the end of March. Even it started in February, there was a decline in February. And all of these things, is important to know that it is not happened to ARM, because we don't invest, we are not isolated from the market, right? We invest in the market. If you have colleagues with other PFAs, they will also tell you that they are experiencing this. So what am I saying in essence? Because there is an element of your funds that are exposed to the equity market. When prices goes up, it will impact your balance. And what you see is that people don't come to say, I noticed that in 1 month, my account added 500,000 or my account added 1 million. In fact, we had a client in January alone, he had about 3 million naira on his account, in terms of return on investment. But what you see is that once there's a drop of 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, people then react to it. So what happens is that if you also know very well how the investment curve works, right? It has this up and down, and that is how the market, moves. So there are times where prices will drop, and once prices drop, it will impact your balance because your balance are exposed to that market. The question is, can we not go out of that equity market? No. If you want to really generate some good returns, you have to be within the equity market. We know what the equity market closed out in 2023. If you are not in that market, you can't get that level of return. So it's important that we remain in that market. However, what we had done, we did, Larry, you remember we did a quick review between us and top PFAs within the industry. Even when those dip happened, ARM still was better than our peers. You know, when we say our peers, we are looking at the top 5, top 6 PFA with similar AUM. So all of those dips that you see is as a result of what is playing out in the equity market, and it affects all PFAs. So it's important that, you know, we provide this clarity. I think that was why we insisted that we take that question. Larry, I don't know if that helps. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That helps. And I think it's on that note that we'll begin to wind up. So I think, like we said, this is just a conversation opener. This is not meant to be the end of this. So we would expect that you want to start talking regarding your retirement, what is next. And, you know, this is the time to also start monitoring your balances and all of that. So please, we are all over the country. You can reach us in any states of the Federation, anywhere at all. You can, in fact, in some states, we have more than 2-3 locations where you can reach us. We also have our pension on wheels, whereby we go from one location to the other. If you see our mobile bus, our bus anywhere, you can also beckon on the team to quickly attend to you. We also have our digital platforms, which is available for you to reach out to us. You can call us, you can go to our website, you can download our mobile app. You can also do that on the web. You can chat with us. This is the WhatsApp number I mentioned earlier on. You can also reach out to us via that channel for any of your inquiry. You want to get your statement, you want anything at all, please reach out to us. And I think somebody also mentioned that 1 month is not remitted. You can chat us, give us your details, and we'll get back to you after our investigation so that we can bring your accounts up to date. And the email is also being shown on the screen. And this is aside the fact that you can also relate with your relationship officer that is marked to you, or that is attached to you. If you don't know, if they've not reached out to you, or you want to know, you can also chat us or send a mail to us, and you definitely be connected with your relationship officer so that you can have a continuous conversation from now on, even till the time of your retirement. And to just wrap this up, I will just call on the head of our benefits administration team, that's the person of Ayodeji Ayomajaro, who is giving us the closing remarks. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Larry. It's been an interesting about 1 hour, 45 minutes thereabouts, and I'm sure we would have gained 1 or 2 things from this engagement. If nothing at all, I'll say that the fact that we initiated this conversation, we would just like to encourage you to let us keep this conversation going, even as we prepare you for your desired retirement lifestyle. I quite agree with one of the participants that actually wishes to retire loud. What will really guarantee that is how and the kind of decisions we make from now towards that very retirement lifestyle. And also our habits, health practices are also very important. So we've been able to start this conversation. So I would just like to encourage us to let us keep it going. We want to appreciate you for making out the time. We know how precious time is, but I believe we've actually made it worth your while. Thank you for the time. And then, like Larry said, we are available. Reach out to us on our social media handles. and also through the various relationship managers that are attached to you, our esteemed clients. Thank you once again, and want to wish you a wonderful afternoon. Harry, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ayo. And with that, we've come to the end of this. Our digital platforms are being displayed on the screen right now again, just for us to take notes, and the conversation can then continue from there. Thank you so much. Do have a wonderful evening.
Please keep an eye on Jenny.
Oh, that's all right. Uncle Paul, look! I want to be a pilot when I grow up. That's good. I've always wanted to be friends with a pilot. Uncle Paul, what's your job? I help people understand things. Like a teacher? Almost. I help explain to mummies and daddies what they can do with their money. I help people build stuff. And I'm always there when they are happy and when they are sad. I help people grow all kinds of things. You're a farmer! Not quite. I help people keep and grow their money so later they come back when it's bigger for themselves. You're a magician! Just like a pilot, I help people move from where they are to where they want to be. Thank you, Uncle Paul. Pilot.
ARM, invested in your tomorrow.